The internet is a very interesting place. The Twitter, or the X platform, how it is nowadays called, might be simultaneously the best and the worst place to go. Recently, I came across the post that is shown on the left side, and this grabbed my attention for two reasons. First reason was that it was about genetics and genomics that I absolutely love. And the second reason was how absolutely wrong this post is. Well, this person, in a sense, claimed that if a person has a child with another person from another ancestry, then basically the strangers on the street from their own ancestry are more related to them than their own child. This is, of course, absolutely wrong. And I will talk about this confusion in this video, or basically the reasons how and why is this wrong. Also, I don't know what the most famous of the Ellens has to do with this, but we will skip that part. Also, of course, there were plenty of responses in the post itself, but the person was responding in a brief and not very polite way. But in one of them, one of the responses demanded to show the math. So I will be showing the math, well, not the math because it's not really math related, but basically I will show why is it absolutely wrong according to the explanation of the original poster. So let's get into it. And so the first thing that we have to put down is that the parent and the child share 50% of their genome, while they share a fraction of their genome with a random stranger on the street. Now, this 50% thing, you might ask, who said so? And this was Gregor Mendel in 1866. This was literally at the very beginning of genetics. And one of his laws, his famous laws, the law of segregation, states that during the gamete formation, the alleles for each gene segregate from each other so that each gamete carries only one allele for each gene. Of course, at the time, Mendel was speaking only about the specific traits, for example, the color of the flowers. But now we know a little bit more about genetics. How this translates to humans? Nowadays, we know that chromosomes exist, and humans have 23 chromosomes, each in 2 copies. So there are 22 so-called autosomes and 1 sex chromosome. So each of these chromosomes is in 2 copies, except the sex chromosomes in males, which come with the X and the Y chromosome, so they are not the same. But, let's simplify this situation. And, the one set of chromosomes would be called N. And then, because we have 2 copies, we can use it 2N as a shortened version of the number of the chromosomes. The humans, as many other species, are known for sexual reproduction. For these, we need so-called gametes, which are created in the process of meiosis. So I will not go into detail, but basically what happens is that on the male side, there are the sperms, and the female side, there are the ova or the egg cells or eggs. What happens in this process is that the 2N, so the 2 sets of chromosomes are kind of divided, and each sperm and each egg carries only 1 set of chromosomes. And of course, when the conditions are right and the birds and the bees, etc., what we have is the situation when the 2 gametes meet. And again, after some time, we have a baby, or not we, but, like the 2 people. And this baby, again, has 2N chromosomes, 1N from the father, 1N from the mother, 2N. So basically, they are actually the very same set of chromosomes as everybody else. So half from the father, half from the mother. Okay, so you might ask, where does the confusion on the X platform comes from? So indeed, this is a very typical possibility where you can describe various groups of people based on their ancestry. So what we can say that, for example, there is a group of people with a European ancestry, another one with African ancestry, and another one, for example, with East Asian ancestry. However, the genome of the people or any two people in the world. So basically also, well, you, dear viewer, and also, for example, me, our genome is 99.9% identical. So it's exactly the same. Well, obviously there are differences between people, and these differences come from the small remaining fraction of the genome. An even smaller fraction of the DNA, or the so-called markers, are so-called ancestry informative. Well, I grabbed this picture or graph from well, this paper here. So if you want, you can check it out. But basically, what it says that there are a very few number of very specific markers, or like parts of the genome, that are very specific for people of specific ancestries. For example, here we have this graph. On the x-axis, we have allele frequencies from people with a European ancestry, and then on the y-axis, the allele frequencies from people from East Asian ancestry. Now, if you concentrate on the corners of this graph, so you see, for example, down here, let's say, that there are certain alleles, very, very few alleles, that are essentially 100% in the people with the European ancestry, and then literally no or just very few from the East Asian ancestry. So there is this dot here is basically 100% for European ancestry, 0 for East Asian ancestry. Again, the same thing. Another alleles might be that are basically fixed or totally the same with the people with East Asian ancestry, but they are not there at all for the people of European ancestry. What this means is that, well, we have people from each ancestry, and if we look at this particular allele, then what we see is, let's say, the AA kind of in a East Asian ancestry, and BB from the European ancestry. So you see absolutely no overlap. So that's why it's ancestry informative. So if you see in this particular place an AA, you know that this is coming from a person from East Asian ancestry. Of course, all the other nearly 3 billion bases are exactly the same between these two people, or these 10 people for this matter. Now, what happens if, for example, person 1 and person 6 have a baby? What they kind of, well, they transmit one half of their genome, as I already told. So basically, one of these A's comes to the baby here, and one of these B's comes to the baby to the same spot. So the genotype of the child will be AB for this spot. Of course, there are, well, more of these spots or more of these places, but as I said, comparably very small number. Now, back to this graph. So we could, well, distinguish based on these ancestry informative markers the ancestries of the people, and so this is something called the PCA plot, which is a very usual way how to visualize well, population structure. If you're really interested, I also have videos on this on the channel. Anyway, so what happens is, based on these ancestry informative markers, the populations can be indeed differentiated. So this is not a very new thing, and also it's a very common one. Also, what happens if there are two people from different ancestries have a child? Their genotype will be AB, so there will be somewhere in the middle, according to expectations. So the child falls between the ancestries compared to a typical member of this group. So basically, if we are looking at the population level, so if we are looking at the millions of people from different ancestries and put all of these people on such a graph, then children from parents from two ancestries are basically coming somewhere here in the middle. But of course, the child maintains a high relationship, or basically this 50% relationship, to one parent and also to the other parent. The reason is exactly the same as I already told you, so that basically the child is a combination of the two parents. So basically they are contributing 50% each. So they are contributing one set of chromosomes from one side, other set of the chromosomes other side. So the comparison here is basically the, let's say, few hundred markers based on which the previous population-wide graph was built. And in this case, one set of the 3 billion bases that are coming from each parent. So we can already conclude that, well, the differences between populations exist, but you will be genetically always and always closer to your child than another random person on the street. Well, I hope this video was useful. If you think so, then, well, leave a like, leave a comment. And if you want to see more, I would certainly appreciate if you subscribe. But of course, none of this is mandatory. I think I will leave it here. I certainly want to thank you for your time and wish you a really nice day.